Yeah. Well, I woke up to a headline, same lie, dress, nude suit on the TV, telling me what's
Bringing a little bit of that Black Street.
Like, copyright that.
Yeah. What that Black Street that used to sing No Diggity?
Yeah. Yep. Welcome back.
Yeah. Welcome back to episode, what was this, 7, 8 of this year? I can't even remember right now.
Yep. A true podcast veteran.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. It's been so many episodes.
Well, we're doing it every week. I mean, we even did it last week, and apologize for a little bit of the delay on the computer. We're still working on that stuff.
We're trying to get legit.
Yeah.
But we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's thank our sponsor, Comer Distributing.
Yeah.
As always, since day one. And this week's beer,
Fat Tire Ale, New Belgium Brewing. Man, this one was a popular beer, 15, 20 years ago, maybe?
This is the first time I ever drank one out of a
can. Right.
Yeah.
But, folks, if you can see this can art, it's like a throwback, I would say, 70s style, natural light looking can. I kind of dug it, so
yeah.
I know how you like some can art. So went ahead and got it. And, yeah, it's great beer. Fat Tire is a great New Belgium brewery beer, so wanted to bring that one back and
let's thank our additional sponsor that we picked up.
Yeah,
Burns Automotive Group.
Yep.
Throughout the Carolinas, numerous locations for sales and service.
Yeah, that's right. And they got the new auto service over here on Cherry Road.
Yes.
And I think they've got Fort Mill Ford as well. And I think they're expanding their footprint. I won't say, but I'll get some input from them, and we'll let you know. But they are a growing dealership auto group, and thank them for sponsoring the show, man.
Yes, absolutely.
Now we're up to 2 sponsors, not 2 listeners, 2 sponsors.
Yeah. You know what? This past week, and we're going to start off with what do we have to do, right?
Yeah. And we always get into business first, right?
Well, I'm going to skip that part real quick, because one of the things I had this week was an LCI dinner.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever I walked into the restaurant, I was late because I was coming from another event, which we'll talk about. As I walked in, the person at the front said, "Mr. Pints and Politics."
Stop. Are you serious?
So he was a page for one day in the house.
And then he got fired or something?
No, he left to take the job there.
Hey, I can't blame him. It's better pay by far. I think pages are still making like $7 an hour.
I think it's 10, but
Is
it's
it
not
10?
great.
No, folks, you don't take a page position for the Friday paycheck, okay?
You don't take any position within the state capitol for pay.
Correct,
I can tell you that.
Even though the Senate tried. Yeah. Hey, I am speaking from experience as a page. I think I was making $7.25, and that was my second job. I also had a work study program at Student Life.
That was like 40 years ago, and you're like, they're still making $7.25.
It's like the Braves in '95, baby. But yeah, man. But it's great experience. You make a lot of good connections.
Yes.
Some of them, can be lifelong, right? When I walked in as a freshman legislator, Miss Jeannie Potter, who was my former boss as a page, and so when I walking into the room, the speaker and his staff was all greeting all of us as we were walking in, and I went right past the speaker. I shook his hand, whatever. I was so excited to give Miss Jeannie a hug, and I couldn't believe she was still there. But yeah, man. So
well, and you didn't tell me that, or Heath did not tell me that he was ever a page. So we walked in, and me, like, first time legitimately in the chamber.
Yeah.
And Heath is sitting there like, "Kick it, I know this road." And he's going everywhere. And I'm like, man, I don't even know where the bathroom is. Like, how did you pick all this up so quick?
I studied.
Yeah, that's what
I read the handbook.
ChatGPT wasn't around then.
That's right.
Wasn't telling you where to go.
That's right. So you had a good dinner on Wednesday night with your committee members and staff over at all Columbia folks will know Villa Tronco, right?
Yep.
Old school Italian place.
The oldest Italian restaurant in Columbia.
Man. Yeah, it's good. So what'd you have?
Steak. It was on some noodles, though.
Hey, man. Hey. Look,
I'm a meat and tater type of guy.
That was fantastic, by the way. I didn't know that was coming. But when you think Villa Tronco, you think filet.
Yeah.
Good deal. Hey, we may have picked up a third sponsor.
I did tell the story about me going to dinner with you and Brandon Cox, and ordering what I thought was just a rare steak and it being steak tartare, though.
Yeah.
They got a kick out of that one.
Yep. That's always a fun story. Maybe we'll tell it well, I'll tell it right now. Look, I tried to tell Guffey that steak tartare on the menu means raw steak.
I was like, yeah, just knock the horns off.
So when the server, when he goes to order it, the server would even again clarified, hey, you like raw steak? You even made a joke. Yeah, bring the damn bull by here. I'll knock the horns off, kick him in the ass, and put it on a plate type deal. And sure enough, he got raw. He got raw beef.
They brought me out an uncooked hamburger patty, and I'm like, I'm not paying $40 for this. This is not what I'm eating.
Hey, folks, be better than Longhorn. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Every now and again,
Longhorn is a
treat
great
yourself.
steak.
It is. I love it. Flo's filet, man. I'm just saying, every now and again, treat yourself and and get some steak tartare. Refine your palate.
Yeah. They don't cook it. They form it in the shape of a hamburger and then charge you twice as much and act like it's fancy.
And sometimes they'll put a raw egg yolk on it.
It reminds me of our soon to be sponsor that's coming up, and we'll bring that up at another time.
Anyway, while you're out having your Italian filet, we also had a good dinner with our Winthrop folks.
Awesome to have Winthrop University.
Yeah, it really is. And, so the Winthrop Board of Trustees came down. So did President Cerna and some of the Winthrop staff and administrators. And they came down and, just hosted a legislative dinner for us. And, a lot of our delegation members were there, made it. And that was, a little bit touch and go because the debate that Wednesday ran right up to almost 7 o'clock, remember?
Yes.
Which is that's when the dinner bell was ringing. So we thought at some point we may even miss the dinner, but thankfully got out of there and got over and visited with the Winthrop folks. And, I tell you, the takeaway from that, I had great dinner conversations. And this is the great thing about where we live, because we do have a university, a 4-year university. But, man, it is just a great community when you're welcoming the Board of Trustees and the president, that they're not just that, right? We have friendly relationships.
Yep.
We have, a guy like Gary Williams, who's like a mentor to a lot of guys about my age here in Rock Hill. You know what I mean? And he's a great, tremendous business leader. Joel Hamilton, who is now the chair of the Board of Trustees over there at Winthrop, is a friend of ours.
Yes.
Y'all served on county council together. He's also my neighbor. And so just having some good dinner conversations really made me appreciate just the uniqueness of where we live. Rock Hill is the 5th largest city in South Carolina, but we still feel like a small town community. And man, that is fantastic. There's not a lot of places that can tell you they have, not only friends in a mayor or friends in a state delegation or friends in the business community. We also know most of the Board of Trustees of our local university. So I don't know. That's just I think something to be proud of, right?
Yeah. I mean, Winthrop has always kind of been a staple here in Rock Hill. Late 90s, early 2000s, got pretty big whenever the basketball started taking off. So, it's something that we take pride in here. And now we're seeing Winthrop become the first in the state.
Yeah, on that
with
AI
implementing
program.
things.
Yeah. And I think, they have, with President Cerna, they have stability at the top. And when you have stability and good leadership, you can get a vision and execute that plan. And I think that's what we're seeing with Winthrop. I mean, they have a board that's aligned with their leadership. And the student body continues to grow. And they're talking about things, getting returns on investments and trying to drive the cost of operations down.
Yeah. Or being cost neutral and adding programs.
Right? And so that is a dynamic, and that's probably something that Nathan Ballantyne's subcommittee on Ways and Means of Higher Ed doesn't hear a lot. When you have universities
because they're always asking for money,
right? Or more money, and again, it's understandable sometimes when you have like some deferred maintenance costs or you have some capital construction costs where you're expanding your university, those one-time things, but on a recurring basis to try to see that you have a university administration coming to you and saying, hey, we're trying to either stay neutral or drive
Cost down.
Yeah. And so that's probably a breath of fresh air. And while we're speaking about Nathan Ballantyne, Representative Nathan Ballantyne, man, prayers going out to you and your family.
Yes.
He lost his dad. We got word, just yesterday?
Yes, yesterday afternoon.
So, I know it's often said a lot, thoughts and prayers, but seriously, your folks are getting older, my folks are getting older. It seems like that time of life.
Yeah.
We're going to experience some loss, but just know he's in a better place, and definitely thinking about him and his family. So, ready to upgrade your ride? Head to Burns Chevrolet for the newest Chevy trucks, SUVs, and cars. Priced to move and ready to roll.
Shop the entire lineup and schedule your test drive at BurnsChevyCadillac.com. Burns Chevrolet, your right choice for 100 years.
But yeah, man, it was a good week. We also had not just some dinners going on.
Yeah.
We had some work that we were trying to get accomplished, whether it was, live streaming on the floor, or maybe it was some behind the scenes stuff, or some committee work, or even subcommittee work. I think on the floor, what everyone probably saw was the passing of the 10 Commandments.
Yes, that was the long debate.
Yep, on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And basically what this bill did, primary sponsor was Stephen Long, out of the upstate, was that we were going to put 11 by 14 copy of the 10 Commandments.
Yes.
In every classroom.
And framed, of course.
Yep.
And that was one of the things that we talked about. I'm going to do some math real quick, because the cost, this was while we're sitting on the floor and we're looking at this, oftentimes we mandate things for our schools to do, but then we don't fund it.
Right.
I believe that if this is something that passes, we have to get funding for it.
Right.
Because just based off the numbers of 56,000 teachers.
Look, folks, this is York County math, okay?
Yeah.
This is just off the back of a napkin.
This is a guesstimate. If I go to the Dollar General, and how much can I get this done for?
Yeah.
Right?
11 by 14 copy printed, and then let's say a $20 frame, $30 frame.
And it would come out to $1,680,000.
Yep.
That's based off of 56,000 teachers.
Very loose math. So $1.5 million to $2 million to put the 10 Commandments in every K through 12 class.
Which I'm willing to pay for.
Right.
I'm willing to find those funds to get that done.
Yeah.
I believe it's worth it. I don't feel like it's fair to just put it on the
pass
schools without it being funded.
Yep. And again, that debate, I had a lot of work to do, because I was trying to get some things lined up for Thursday, the next day's subcommittee. And I knew where the debate was going to go. I was a little troubled, and I don't know how much of the debate you caught, because you're on the other side of the room. You're not my decimate anymore, so I can't.
I caught all of it until whenever I was trying to chase you down to find you to do something.
I don't have that Apple tag on you anymore. But
it's that
man,
leash.
Yeah. I was a little discouraged by some of the disrespectful comments and some of the debate that went on. You know me, man. I think, when you talk about, say, 10 Commandments, I think being a Christian, I voted for this bill. But if you were to take the Christian faith out of it, and you think about the 10 Commandments, there are 10 rules to live by.
It's just the foundation,
right?
Yeah.
And so again, folks are going to talk about, and I think we heard it, division of church and state and all these things. But when it started deteriorating into, basically, if you vote for this, you're a racist.
Yeah.
That is where,
if you don't vote for this, you're a racist, because they were adding amendments.
Yeah, right. And that's where I've got to draw the line for me. And I respect all of my colleagues in the House, and even though sometimes I can get frustrated with them, right? I might get frustrated with their vote, or maybe their policy position, or just some of the loose, irresponsible language of.
See, him being around me has helped him out a little bit.
Right. Because a lot of times, folks, and I'll say this about other members that throw around the corruption term.
Mm-hmm.
if you vote for this or you vote for this guy as a judge, you're corrupt. That's a strong statement. You better bring receipts. And for folks to then use the term racist, again, folks, you better bring receipts, because if you're calling everybody racist without evidence to back it up, then you're watering down a very derogatory term. That's insulting, that's hurtful. And at the end of the day, if you don't have the evidence to back it up, it's just disrespectful.
Well,
and that's
it
where
just waters down the term, and then people quit listening to it.
And I had to walk out of the room.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I can't do it. I even, I hold some of the members who were saying and calling other members this, friends and colleagues, and I respect them, and I just was a little disappointed in sort of how that debate went.
I did think Stephen Long did a very good job.
Yeah.
And he would say, we're sticking closest to the language that has been held up in court, and I would be happy to support what you're trying to do in an additional bill. Let's work together.
Yeah.
But not putting it in this bill.
Right.
And that takes the air out of the room.
Yeah. So, again, it's always unfortunate when you have debate on legislation that is on the floor where it deteriorates into the name calling and those types of things. Those are days that I just, go into the cookie room and do some work, try to be productive, try to get back to when the bell rings for voting, try to get back over there and vote. And so anyway, that was a little disappointing for me.
That was the big bill. That's what took up most of the time.
Yeah.
And, I'll give you one example. If Justin Bamberg goes up to the well, and I always joke with him about this, it's time for me to go get a cigarette, because they know he's going to use his first 10 minutes at least, right?
Right.
I can go out there and turn on my video, and I can just sit there and listen to him.
Yeah.
I don't have to sit there the whole time, because it's not going to be called for the vote on the amendment at that time. And but I'm sitting there, and I'm on my computer, and I'm trying to prep, and everything's just quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm typing, and they had called him to the floor. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm waiting on him to get up there to talk, but I'm on my computer. And then all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, I look up and he's just standing there holding a piece of paper. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize he was there at that time. But they stood there to make a statement.
And then I think they had Blake actually put it on the projector too, right?
Yeah.
So they put it on the screens.
Well, and I talked to, kind of jokingly, like, should I ask a question?
Yeah.
But just kind of interrupted a little bit. And to be fair, I think Kilmartin's the one who said that. And it was like, oh, yeah, that would be great.
Right. Right. Because, folks, again, on this show, we try to let you behind the curtain and show you. We get along great with Justin Bamberg.
Oh, I had a good conversation with Justin afterwards, outside. Because after standing there for so long, he needed a cigarette. So step outside, talk to him, and he was just, his main problem is he was upset that we evoked cloture, which stops the debate time from going so long, and it cuts it down to 3 minutes per amendment.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that's what his sign was, cloture, like silences.
Cancels voices or something. Yeah.
Right. And again, enjoy Justin, considering him a friend, very smart guy.
Yep. He's always the one that will make you think regardless. You never know how he's going to vote on a bill, because you'll think everybody's in line, and here's Justin questioning, and not just questioning, like he's going to fight everyone in the room to make sure that they understand his point.
So for folks, if you don't follow Justin Bamberg on Twitter, go find Justin Bamberg on Twitter.
The People's Rep trademark.
Look, I would consider Justin Bamberg a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy. I'm telling you, if you think you know him, you don't. Okay, because he is smart. He's intelligent, and he's broad. You know what I mean? He enjoys the Second Amendment. He loves firearms. You know what I mean? He lives out in the country, and again, Look, anything that if you were to try and peg him, you'd be wrong.
Well,
you know what I mean?
One of my favorite memories was freshman year. We were talking about the transgender surgeries for minors.
Yeah.
And I'm standing outside, but Justin walks up and he's like, "Hey, Guffey, you're one of them freedom guys, right?" I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not in the Freedom Caucus. And he's like, no, but you're like that. You believe in freedom and liberty, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, what's more free than wanting to cut off your own privates if you're above 18? I was like, well, whatever, man. He's like, but you know where I'm coming from. Like, he's just looking at it like, oh, I thought you wanted freedom. Why are you saying the government can't allow you to do this?
Yeah. See, and he's a lawyer too, folks. So he's going to get you.
He will debate you.
He's going to get you. So, but yeah, I mean, that, again, while that debate was on the floor, I stepped out a lot of times. I didn't want to get too frustrated. I didn't want to get too upset about some of the things that were being said. Some folks did get upset, felt like they were being called or called out, and some of them took to the well and fired back. And again, I did
have a conversation with a freshman outside that I did not know very well, but I had the conversation because they were upset, and I had to explain. Going back to say, sometimes people just need to be heard.
Yeah.
They don't get the opportunity to speak on certain things, especially if their bill's not coming to the floor. And they want to make sure their voice is heard and that they're fighting for their constituents on issues. So if they can get them involved, that's the opportunity to do it.
Was this member getting upset?
Yeah.
Because how it was deteriorating?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because things started feeling personal.
Correct. And they did. Some folks were taking some of the words that were being said. I'm glad you pointed that out, because as a freshman, I would find myself taking things personal too.
Yeah.
Now I don't.
Right.
Now I'm like, look, I know what they're doing. It's an election year. They need to cut a video reel. And they're going to do it. And I'm not saying all of them do it, but it can be used
a lot
for
of
that. It can be used for that.
Yeah. Trying to make your point on an important issue to say, I fought for this.
Well, and here's another thing too. They're representing their 40,000.
Yeah.
Whether they ain't my, you know what I mean? That's not my district, but they're speaking for their people.
Right.
And so it's like, I speak for my people, or I at least try to most of the time. And so it's like, hey, they're representing their people. They're doing their job. They're going to go up there and speak for that.
Yeah. And look, you also got the situation of, say, we came in last session. That bill was filed by Thomas Beach. Mm-hmm. Come in this session is filed by Stephen Long. Mm-hmm. So, especially for us that just came in, like Thomas did, we're going to feel like, oh, well, somebody else is getting credit for a bill that I brought to the floor.
Oh, right.
But this bill was actually filed in 1998 as a resolution first.
Yeah.
Then filed again in 2000 as an actual bill. This is just the first time it's passed in the House.
Right.
So, it's not, and look, we all should fight. I thought that this was another great week of showing how all the caucuses, or at least on the Republican side, the Freedom Caucus and the Republican Caucus, can work together for a common goal.
Yeah, right.
Without the infighting, right?
Yeah, correct.
And so far this year, it's been pretty good that way.
Yeah.
Now, we did see some narrative on the First Amendment of, and I forget what it was, but had something to do with sex offenders, and, there's some messaging out there about that. I don't know.
What?
About that. Just because it was certain members voted against it and certain members didn't.
Oh, gotcha.
And it was tabling an amendment.
Okay. So some political games, you're saying?
I don't know if it was political games or not. I really didn't understand it enough because I was taking a meeting.
Look,
in the lobby at the time.
When I say political games, I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm saying, look, sometimes I will play political games. If I'm trying to stall something or I'm trying to get another amendment, you may throw a prepared amendment up, knowing it ain't going to pass, but you're trying to buy 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Talk about it so you can
have the conversation and then go work with somebody on getting the correct amendment.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. But that's not all that we did in schools this week. We also did the Truth in Public Grading, which came out of committee.
Wow. We got to legislate that, huh?
Well, it's because everyone's setting these standards. Like, I thought it was dumb.
You get a trophy.
Yeah, and that's what it come from. Don't turn in something and we're still going to give you a 60. Like, no.
Nope.
And then we wonder why we're having trouble with kids being able to read whenever they graduate.
Hey, I took I had a conversation with a teacher just a few weeks ago. I think she's a 4th grade teacher here in the Rock Hill School District. And she's talking about leaving the profession because she is so concerned that the kids that she's getting, she's like, Heath, they can't even write like a full sentence.
Well, I mean, we
And I
tried to
said,
hold back our 2nd grader last year, and they wouldn't let us.
And I said, what do you mean? And she said, Heath, the kids that I'm getting aren't even prepared for my class. And then what do you think is going to happen when I got to go back to, say, a 3rd grade or a 2nd grade level? She's in 4th grade. And try to get them up to where I think they need to be just to enter my class by the time the half year's over with.
Yeah.
They can't pass the standardized test.
Yeah.
And I think folks, especially in the Southeast, because a lot of this stuff, I would say a good indicator of a school district is sort of your median income, right? Household income and things of that nature. And so when I say I think Mississippi is a good model for us to look at is because demographically,
I mean, it ain't West Virginia.
It is not West Virginia. But there's a lot of similarities being in the Southeast between a South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama, Mississippi, right? And I think what Mississippi has been able to do, when I was growing up, we were always like battling for 50th, right? It was always us.
Thank God for
thank God for Mississippi. Thank God for Alabama, right?
Yeah.
It was always we were 48th, 49th, or 50th, and us in Mississippi would swap every now and again, this, that, and the other. I think, what are we up to now, like 43rd? Mississippi.
I thought we were a lot more, but Mississippi jumped way up whenever they introduced school choice.
Well, they also had this sort of accountability. They said, no more. If you cannot read at your level, you're not passing this grade.
Right.
And they started holding kids accountable. And I think being that is their job. And I think bringing honesty back in grading is a common sense issue that I don't know how we ever abandon it.
Well, it just goes to accountability.
Right.
Because what are we looking at with our judicial system right now?
Yeah.
It's getting passed on
Yeah.
to where there's not accountability. And then sometimes these career criminals are still being let out, or people aren't scared
Yeah.
to make mistakes anymore.
Yep. And think about it like this. We were talking about this with the Parental Rights Act. Will we say it takes a village, but the parents are in the village?
Yes.
It's the same thing with teachers. It takes teachers, parents working together, and they've got to be on the same page too. I've noticed that before when my daughter was going through school as a middle schooler. I remember going over here to Sullivan and having a teacher conference and just getting to know the teacher a little bit. And I think the teacher was trying to talk to me about, or just mentioned to me and Kristen that our daughter was quiet, but once she got going in the middle of the year and gets comfortable with everybody, she may talk a little bit and, I said, hey, if you need to yank her up, you yank her up.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, no, we wouldn't do that. And I said, well, if you need to, you do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and I wanted to make the point to the teacher is, no, look, you're the authority figure that I'm going to trust with my child's education while I pass them off to you in school.
Yeah.
And it sort of surprised her that I talked to her that plainly, but I was being serious. Like, hey, there is a trust that parents must have in turning over their precious loved one, their kid, to a school.
Yes.
And that's a sacred thing, in my opinion. And I want school administrators and and educators just in general to understand that is a trust that I hold sacred, and I know they do too. And they're an extension of our family, right?
What?
And a lot of like my boys being in special needs, a lot of those teachers are like family to us. Like some of them even travel with us sometimes, right, to help us out with the boys. And I think I live in a bubble that way because I think that's the way it should be. I think that teachers and coaches and those types of things are basically extended family. But sometimes in conversation, I found out that's not always the reality for other families.
Well, unfortunately, our teachers often feel like we are just piling things on them. Mm-hmm. Whether we go to grading levels and everything, they're having to do more and more and more and more.
Right.
And yet it's already a thankless job in many ways. I think what we've got to do is give them more power, more control over being able to discipline. I mean, because whenever I went and sat in my oldest son's middle school, whenever he got in trouble and I had to sit in there for a day, I'm going to tell you, I could not hardly keep my cool just sitting in a classroom.
Yeah, right.
With how disrespectful, and we're talking 6th, 7th grades, how the kids were treating teachers, and that's got to stop.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable.
It is.
And the kids have to be held accountable. Whenever the whole phone debate come out, the first thing was, these teachers are getting beat up whenever they take a phone away from a teenager. No, if they get charge them with assault, lock them up, put them in juvenile. And that's unacceptable.
Well, and I think that is the frustration that teachers are communicating back to us is, look, you guys are putting this stuff on us and putting these expectations on us, but then whether it's a lack of administrative support, right? Like, hey, that kid's disruptive, get him out of my class. And then the administration's like, well, we don't have anything to do with him. And, school funding is based on how many students you have.
And I think that's ultimately a big problem.
You know what I mean? And then you have national standards of standardized testing at certain grade levels, and they've got to have a certain percentage of those students pass, right? And meet that national standard. And so they don't want to fail those things and lose certain funding and this, that, and the other. So, I mean,
whenever we were growing up, people were always failing.
Yeah. And getting kicked out.
You had a fear, yeah.
And getting kicked out.
Yeah.
I mean, if Johnny was, there was always that guy who was shaving in the 6th grade. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you just knew, you're like, I mean, no offense, but that guy's going to be running a bulldozer. You know what I mean? No, I mean, you just... And I'm in construction. I'm just saying, you knew he just wasn't meant for books. Yeah. He had other talents and skills that he could offer, but it wasn't in a classroom, right? That's all I'm saying. And yeah, for some reason, we're afraid of that. I think it's coming back where we're appreciating some of those skills and trade jobs now, because guess what? There's not a lot of young folks who are getting into it to backfill these retirees and these folks who are getting out of those blue collar and those sort of technical, skilled trade stuff. And guess what? They're making bank.
And AI is not going to replace those people.
No, not at all.
We mentioned about truck drivers not being replaceable, but transportation companies have too much going on.
Elon Musk has some ideas.
Oh, no, there are autonomous trucks. And I don't know if you know this, but on the autonomous vehicles, South Carolina.
You want another beer?
No, whatever. It's just those fancy words. I had a beard in 6th grade. Leave me alone.
3 syllables.
But there are the vehicles out there, but we're the only state, like in the Southeast, that does not currently have laws pertaining to them. So it's something that I talked about a couple of years ago, but it's something that we're going to have to address.
Right.
For these driverless vehicles.
I was just having this conversation. I think we're going to have to modernize the way we manage energy, whether it's nuclear energy, electric energy, natural gas. And it took me back to the idea that just this realization, we are seriously considering reopening VC Sumner. I see, that steadily progressing. And if we bring on more nuclear energy capacity, we need to be prepared for it, right? So I've noticed there's a lot of, and again, this came back to a conversation I had with a gentleman this week, just made me think about man, we need to have an energy secretary, and whether it's an energy and technology, because AI, it goes hand in hand with energy, right? And so having some conversations this week about how are we going to better manage and lead our country and our region in the energy and AI. So I am really seriously considering the idea of a cabinet level secretary to help the executive branch manage that energy and AI technology that is emerging. Well, if we don't get out in front now and start having the conversations, because we're talking about this now, man, we're not going to have that set up for another few years. You know what I mean?
Well, we're having the conversations, but unfortunately, and I was speaking to some people on the national level about this, there is literally a PSYOP, a psychological operation being performed on our citizens from another country that is worried about us catching up with artificial intelligence right now.
We're talking about chemtrails?
No, this is against data centers.
Yeah.
And there's good actors, bad actors in every sphere.
Yeah, right.
But bottom line is, in order to compete in artificial intelligence, we have to be able to house data. There's no such thing as the cloud. It's not really in the cloud. It's in a data center.
Yeah, right.
Right? And so we've got to get to the point to where we're getting true information. We've got to have good actors.
Right.
You know, you don't want somebody that's using 1 trillion gallons of water a year.
Yeah, well, and that's another thing, too. I think informing, whether it's our 2 listeners or our voters or just our constituents at large, I do think having these conversations, Senator Davis, anywhere he can, he's having these conversations, and there's a lot of others. I think that's going to educate just the general public at large about this stuff.
And I think we're going to educate you guys whenever we do a podcast with Senator Davis down in the Low Country.
Yep. Well, and speaking of AI, so I threw some prompts in yesterday, Thursday, and AI already wrote me the bill to consolidate cabinet level energy and technology secretary.
You better be careful. You're going to end up like that preacher that filed the ethics against us.
No.
Leave stuff out.
I still got to proofread it. But hey,
what? Proofread? What's that?
Hey, and here's the wild thing. I said and conform it to South Carolina code, and it started strike insert. You know what I mean? It went and found, hey, in ORS we have a nuclear sort of regulatory office. And you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta scrap that, scrap this, consolidate. And I was like, this is impressive.
You use Siri. I'll use Elizabeth Taylor.
So, but yeah, that was a little bit of the stuff on the floor this week. Man, I also you didn't have any subcommittee or committee work?
I did not this week.
Okay.
I do have full regs and LCI next week.
Yep. One big. I did have subcommittee Thursday morning. Had 3 bills. One bill was on ivermectin that I carried over from the last subcommittee.
Have you tasted that?
Tasted ivermectin?
It makes my tongue go numb.
No.
I just did the horse paste. I didn't do the pills.
Oh. No. I have not. But, folks, if you haven't heard of ivermectin, this thing became, I would say, popular.
During COVID.
COVID?
It's been around forever. It won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah. It's been around for since the 80s, 90s, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the 2 founders of this drug, received the Nobel Peace Prize because it's an anti-parasitic, used a lot in African countries because they don't have clean water, and it combats parasites, malaria, and some other stuff. But during COVID, some folks experimented. This wasn't the intended use for the drug, but some folks experimented and had some good results. Anecdotal or otherwise, they had good results. And with social media, you can get that out there. So there was a bill by Representative Kilmartin that I gave a hearing on, and he just wanted to sit over the counter, right? Looking into it, this is not a controlled substance. It's not on the federal schedule. There's low risk for any sort of addiction. There's low risk for overdosing and all these types of things. So I basically, in my mind, I equate it to something like Tylenol, like a pain reliever or something like that.
Or is it more along the lines of an antibiotic? My doctor won't prescribe me an antibiotic. Used to, you could just call and just say, hey, I'm feeling like this. Okay, I'm going to call you in.
Yeah.
An antibiotic. Now that's not the case because so many people are becoming immune to it. Is it something that if you flood the market with too much, that parasites could become immune to it?
Right. And I didn't look at it like that, and I don't. But
I just figured if it could kill horseworms, it could kill anything that was in my body. So,
but so we did have that bill again in sub, and I carried it over because I did get a message from 2 pharmacists that said, "Hey, are y'all seriously consider passing this thing?" And I said, "Look, I am looking for pharmacists to come speak on this." So I held it over, got some feedback from pharmacists, and we put an amendment on. And basically that amendment was to say if CVS carries ivermectin, you can get it over the counter. You just have to go to the pharmacy counter to where they can give you some instructions, right? Where they can sell it to you, give you a short, quick elevator speech.
Do you have to go through a pharmacy benefit manager to get it?
Not to pay cash.
Okay.
But so that assuaged some concerns that some pharmacists had. That, hey, as long as we can have that interaction with the consumer and say, hey, you're not taking this drug or this drug because it does have some side effects that you wouldn't want. Don't mix with alcohol or any other thing that would not negatively impact their health. So we put that amendment on with the blessing of Representative Kilmartin. He thought that was a fine, reasonable amendment, and so we passed that out favorably. We also passed out what I call the Roger Nutt bill, which was the last piece of legislation
that he wrote.
He authored and got passed out of the Senate before he had to resign from office because of his personal health.
Yeah,
and it was to allow 3 family members during a public health emergency to go and see loved ones before they passed. There was too many stories that we heard where in long-term care facilities, so nursing homes, where they would not let, say, a mom, an elderly person, they wouldn't allow their family to come in and see them because of the potential risk of spreading COVID. And unfortunately, and we did hear a sad story from a lady, nice lady out of the upstate, where her mom passed away due to health complications due to COVID. And when she was actually able to see her mom's body, she had and I don't know what it is, but she called them stage 4 bed sores, and she showed us pictures.
Not moving.
And yeah, it looked like to me, and I'm a layperson, but it looked to me serious neglect was going on at that facility. Now, again, I'm not naming the facility. I'm not indicting the facility, but it looked bad. And part of what we heard in her testimony was that if loved ones had access, or if family had access to their loved ones in these long-term care facilities, they would have been able to see
Agreed.
that their mother wasn't being taken care of. And so just that standard of care dipped, and man, it was a compelling personal story for sure. But
I don't think you should ever be able to keep family away.
Yeah, so but
limit the number at one time, but keeping them away,
that's
absolutely not.
And so we amended that a little bit. Representative Beach had an amendment to allow clergy as well for last rites and those types of things. Also, family members up to 3, and you could change your list, right? So if you had a larger family, you could get more folks in. Pass that out. This episode of Pints of Politics is brought to you by Comer Distributing. Comer Distributing Company is a wholesale beer distributor located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Founded in 1971, Comer is a family-owned business that distributes beer and other beverages to York, Chester, Fairfield, Lancaster, Kershaw, Lexington, and Richland counties. Also, another Senate bill was 449, which was the collaborative practice. Basically, this bill allows collaborative practice agreements between pharmacists and physicians. So if you've got a chronic illness, disease, whatever, you go to the physician to get a certain drug, that pharmacist and physician can work together, whether there's some dosing changes and this, that, and the other, without you having to go back to a physician. And that's what that bill does. Again, this just frees, I think, physicians and pharmacists up to work together to better care for patients. I did put an amendment on there that created a lot of work for me on Tuesday and Wednesday. And folks, if you don't know, there's a lot of scope of practice bills in the Senate and being brought up in the House and have been filed in the House as well. But what scope of practice is that during COVID, one of the, I think the impacts of COVID was we lessened supervision and collaboration and allowed folks like physician's assistants and nurse practitioners to practice in a way that they normally weren't allowed to do because of physician practice agreements and protocols. And when we allowed nurses and physicians, non-physicians, to practice up to the full scope of their education, experience, and training, we found out that, hey, maybe this is something that we can explore a little more. And so post-COVID, we're having a lot of those conversations. And we got, and folks, this is a territorial thing. I think this is also just the traditional method of physician-led healthcare, right? Physicians have had, which I support, by the way. Physicians have always been at the top of the pyramid. They you know what I mean? That because they go to med school, they have the most training, they have the most experience. But
they're the ones carrying the liability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are times or there are occasions that I think that we can explore how we can expand access without not dropping a standard of care, right? And so this Senate bill, the collaborative practice agreement between physicians and pharmacists, I thought was a great opportunity. And so I slapped an amendment on there that pushed the boundaries a little bit, that allowed pharmacists a test to treat. And so, and I don't want to get way too in the weeds, but, and I'm thinking
we do
about
it right now. Isn't that what, the...
Right now they can do we now allow pharmacists to do vaccinations. We allow which was new. We allow pharmacists to test for COVID. Also, I think birth control pills, I think you can go to a pharmacist and get.
I don't know. I've never taken them before.
Yeah, me neither. But I threw an amendment to test to treat on some low risk, non-complex, what they call CLIA wave tests. So if I got a sick kid and it's 8:00 at night, I can go, and again, if the pharmacy's open at the Harris Teeter or the Publix, I can go to or CVS even. You can go to your retail pharmacy and get that swabbed, and that pharmacist can then give you drugs to combat, say, a flu, right? Also strep. Just common
things that you don't want to wait 2 to 3 days to get in to see the doctor.
Correct. And so you got to trying to balance this thing between access, right, but also standard of care. And so, and I have found it's a very sensitive subject, right, because physicians feel that they are the best qualified, but there are things that pharmacists have the education, training, and experience to do. And so I'm trying to nibble at the edges and find what are these things that pharmacists can do. And guess what? The goal is what's best for the patient, for me. And sometimes, I learned this week, sometimes the stakeholders don't always have the patient best in mind when we're talking about political strategy, right? And that's unfortunate. And I saw that this week. But the great thing is collaboration prevailed. We did get the amendment passed. We got pharmacists and physicians both to agree to the language, and it's on to full committee. So hopefully we'll be able to get that to the floor and get it over to the Senate and passed, because guess what? Little things like that, when it's flu season and it's past your dock-in-the-box hours, how convenient would it be if you got to run to your retail pharmacy that's in your Publix or Harris Teeter or Walgreens, where they're open till 9 or so, where you can get some of these low risk tests done, and then also get your prescription filled.
I prefer going to the small business owned pharmacist as opposed to.
Hey, I'm a big believer in good pharmacy too here in Rock Hill. But
I like family care, but yes.
yeah. But sometimes their hours are prohibitive, right?
Yeah.
If you're sick or
yeah.
And I'm just thinking of me, like when I'm out of town,
leave the ER at 1 a.m.
Yeah, you know,
24-hour pharmacist.
Like my wife, we got 3 kids and we had 2 sick all at one time. And, if she could have run to a neighborhood CVS, which we have right here, and gotten a swab just to make sure, just to rule out a flu, that would have been so convenient, and it's a lower cost in the long run. So again, healthcare, man, it is multi-layered, multifaceted, and complex, but trying to make it a little bit simpler for the little guy like me.
Yeah, you're getting it figured out. Well, and my focus will continue to be on AI, tech.
Yeah.
The day that this comes out will be Monday, which will be my campaign kickoff.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's
I will
right,
be doing
baby.
that.
Big day.
And I had people asking, like, why isn't Heath coming to your campaign kickoff? Because I didn't have your name on the flyer, but you're going to be out of town. You've got a work conference.
I mean, truly, I just don't like you no more.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, I'm actually going out of town on a work trip. We'll be back. I will actually miss Tuesday, but I'll be back 5 a.m. on a red eye.
You need me to run your committee on Tuesday?
Landing in Charlotte. No, I moved my committee to Thursday.
After that last 30 minutes of talking, I think I could run that bill now.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's a good point. But so anyway, so that's what we dealt with this week on the floor. Next up, we'll be talking about what we got next week. Got a piss, Smoke?
Yeah.
Car due for service? Trust the certified experts at Burns Chevrolet Cadillac in Rock Hill to keep your engine running smooth, from oil changes to inspections to tires.
Schedule your next appointment right now at BurnsChevyCadillac.com and enjoy the factory-grade care that your car deserves.
If the truth burns slow, let it day. We ain't scared in a mess we make. Politics. No script, no future, no.
Got it.
I'm liking the different versions of the Pints and Politics song.
Yeah, right. Well, last segment of the show today, wanted to talk about what we got going on next week. And I know we've got some community work going on, but really wanted to feature the big, I think, task we have ahead of us. And I know it's our favorite, right? In judicial elections.
Yes.
We also have Public Service Commission elections too, so I don't want to downplay that, because that's an important role, especially when we talk about
two high schools coming in too, with Northwestern and South Point. Celebrate next week,
baby.
There's
bringing the belts back.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, I do have another press conference on Wednesday, but
here we go
for my bill about the crypto ATMs, but I'm unable to attend.
Clockwork.
So Chairman Herb Kirschman is going to attend. I don't want to, tick Merle off by being up there trying to do an introduction and not be there whenever the schools come in.
No, that's great. Guffey misses one press conference for another press conference. I got double booked, y'all. No, so but highlighting the judicial race for 16th Circuit for us.
Yes,
we did have two candidates. One dropped out, and so it looks like Misty Shelton. Again, it'll be formalized on Wednesday during the vote, but she is the candidate left for us to vote for. So looks like she'll be our next judge to take on the circuit court to replace Dan Hall.
And for those of you that don't know, the way that us selecting judges works, we get the qualified candidates out of the JMSC. We then start, we've got a review period where we're waiting, and then whenever you cannot commit to anyone up until a certain point. Yeah. And then once that commitment opens up, all the judges are seeking commitments. They have people counting for them going around. So I hung a note up on my door that says, I have commitment issues. Check with me back after the election. And I've refused to commit to anyone in any race.
Yeah, and it was pretty funny, right? I mean, because you have so many candidates walking the halls and so many, whether it's judicial races or public service commission races, board of trustees, there's a lot of people. And for folks, and I caught some of them reading your thing, and they're like, even the candidates laughed that, I have commitment issues.
Yeah.
So,
to me, it makes it very difficult, because the one rule that you're told is if you commit to someone, don't go back and change your vote.
And if you do, because maybe you didn't fully vet the candidate or you didn't know a certain thing, and like, hey, that's a nice guy, they're qualified, or a nice lady, she's qualified for family court or whatever, I'll go ahead and commit to you. Well, then a week later, you find out something that doesn't agree with your core values or whatever it is that makes you want to change your mind. You've got to go seek that candidate out, sit them down, and explain, hey, move me over to the undecided column or uncommitted column. And that's always a tough conversation to have.
And you got to hope that one candidate has not already received enough commitments that cause someone else to drop out.
Right. And so as Representative Guffey was just talking about, that we hadn't got to yet, when a candidate in a certain judicial race gets enough commitments, they will show those to other candidates, and those candidates will then basically cede the victory, right? They'll basically say, look, looks like you have enough support to win the race, and they will, as a courtesy, pull out of that race.
Yeah.
And
trust me, I don't think any of them enjoy being down there in the state house.
Yeah, correct.
Constantly the way that they
so it's very rare that you would see a contested race that go all the way to the floor. But, this year's unique. We do have an administrative law court seat that looks like it still has 4 or 5 candidates. And I see a lot of that race. I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go all the way to the floor with multiple candidates. And for me, that's live action.
Well, we've got 1 candidate and 2 circuits, right?
Oh, I don't know about all that.
On the list, it's one lady that lives in one area but willing to move to another area.
I don't know. Can they do that on judicial races too? I thought that was just the House.
I don't know. It's kind of like running for 2 seats at one time.
Right.
Kind of eliminates you.
Yeah. So for me as a legislator, I kind of enjoy the action of the 5 wide. If you got an administrative law court, or the one race I wanted to sort of touch on a lot was the Supreme Court race, where we have, a former speaker in Jay Lucas. We have the sitting justice on the Supreme Court in Justice Few. We have another candidate out of Horry County in Blake Hewitt. And then we also have an administrative law judge in Tripp. So that's what, 4 wide?
Yes.
And
none of them have the votes that I'm aware of.
Right. And as of right now, no one candidate has enough to win. And so that might go 4, maybe even 3, maybe 1 drops out. I don't know. But that's just going to be an interesting race. And that's the one that has made the headlines, right?
Yes.
And folks, the perception is not always the reality. And, there's been a lot of coverage about former Speaker Jay Lucas. We know him because he was the most recent speaker before we came in.
Yes.
And
I met him once before I took office.
Yeah. And he's been down a time or two just as a former speaker. Great guy, a man of integrity. And, he is now running for the Supreme Court. I think the knock on Jay is, and you can read it from Senator Rankin, because Luke Rankin is on the JMSC. And even though he reported
him favorable,
out as qualified, he also talked about wanting folks here in South Carolina to have 100% confidence in the integrity of the system.
Well, maybe they should quit appointing magistrates.
That's a whole other episode. And so, but I read those and I can kind of relate, because Jay Lucas is a former Speaker of the House, right? But here's another thing too, that
as a lawmaker for 20 years, what makes you think that you're not qualified to decide the intent of the law, which that's what we're constantly hearing?
Yeah, right.
It's the intent.
And again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm just telling you the knocks, right? But also, and here's another thing too, where I think in the media, or even on social media, folks get a little bit irresponsible or loose with their language. Imagine that on social media, that they will say that Jay Lucas is getting all of this support because it's this corrupt swamp and this, that, and the other. Folks, I'll put it to you this way. Jay Lucas served honorably in the House of Representatives for almost 3 decades? Okay? And there's a lot of folks who worked in the House chamber and in the Senate chamber who are still existing members who worked with that guy for 20 years.
They know his character better than
that is correct.
Any piece of paper can tell you.
That is correct. They know how he operates. They know how he conducts business. And again, without being so cynical, maybe they just think that Jay Lucas would make a great justice based on his track record of leading the House.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so while I have kept my powder dry, and I'm not committing. I don't know where you are on that.
I have commitment issues, remember?
That's right. Okay, so you too have not committed.
No, I have not committed.
I haven't made up my mind either. But again, being irresponsible with your language and just trying to call out corruption, and guys, a lot of times that ain't it. Okay, I think a lot of folks in the House and in the Senate just think that Jay Lucas has he has been deemed qualified, and he's a man of integrity, and that's who they want on the bench, right? It doesn't make him corrupt. Now, the perception is different.
The perception is that it's the good old boy system,
Right.
and you're choosing friends, even though, if we were to choose him, we didn't serve with him.
Yes.
You know? Or many of the freshmen that are there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've got just as few who served on the bench. Now, on the flip side of that, everyone kind of goes back to the heartbeat bill and say that he's the one who killed the heartbeat bill. I used to think that until you actually read what he wrote, and what he did was he gave us a path on getting the heartbeat bill not only passed, but made it stronger. So it makes it difficult.
So he did his job?
I would agree with that. So it becomes an issue, especially trying to choose a judge. And now you've got two other candidates as well.
Yeah. And folks, we want co-equal. Look, in South Carolina, traditionally, this has been a legislative-run state. A lot of the power, political power, is vested in not only the House, but in our little brother in the Senate. And that's just the way traditionally it's always been. We've never wanted to have a strong executive branch. I do think that is changing. I really do. I think you and I and a lot of our members who are in our class and younger, as far as experience in the House, we don't have power issues, right? We want to throw the power back to the people in the sense of let's try to balance these branches out a little bit and give, say, a little more authority to the governor, right, to help in selection of judges.
Yeah.
Let's give the judiciary, let's make them as independent as possible. Because, look, I'm not a career politician. I don't plan on being here that long. As long as the people will have me, I've always thought, okay, I can do this for 10, 12 years, right? Give or take. And look, I'm just trying to do the best that I can that represents my district, and then overall my state. You're doing the same thing.
Yes.
And then go home and retire. You know? I mean, that's it.
And then he wants to become a judge.
Yeah. No.
Can you become a judge if you didn't go to law school?
That's why
I don't know if that's happened.
That's why I voted to adjourn debate on that magistrate. I can be a magistrate. That's a joke, folks. That's a joke.
But it kind of gives you an inside look at how we have to approach these decisions.
Yeah.
And it's very easy for, I often say, and as members were coming up to me, they were like, okay, so I know you're not committing, but which way are you leaning? Because they're wanting to know how it might go. And my argument is, whenever it is, just like whenever it was our 16th circuit, I'm going to lean on the people that are within that circuit. They're the ones who know their circuit better than I do.
Yeah, right.
And as far as I'm concerned, 16th circuit's the tough circuit.
That's right. We're tough on criminals for sure. And so looking forward to that Supreme Court race. That will be in a joint session beginning at noon on Wednesday. I believe that's March the 4th. And again, if we go into that race with right now there's 4 candidates, but as we approach Wednesday, if one sees the writing on the wall that they don't have the votes, maybe one candidate drops out and we only have 3. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting for sure. And
ultimately, only one will be left standing.
That's right. And then maybe...
Or else we will be there all night just voting over and over the same and the same.
Yeah, that's right.
Until somebody eventually drops out.
Yeah. And again, this is a good problem to have because you have 4 qualified candidates, right?
Yep.
You have a former Speaker of the House in Jay Lucas. You have an administrative law judge in Tripp. You have an appeals court justice in Blake Hewitt. And you have the sitting justice currently in John Few. So they all have strengths. They all have probably some opportunities to improve, but we'll see what shakes out come Wednesday, and we'll deliver the live result on the midweek sip, which we could not do this past week because of debate running long, and then I only had one dinner. You had 2 dinners and a press conference. I only
ate dinner at once.
Had that Italian filet. Look, the episode's come full circle.
I can't believe I left Winthrop for an Italian filet.
But again, thanks for listening to the show. You want to tell them how we can they can help us out?
Follow us on pintsandpolitics.show. And I also want to say, and we need to have this at the end of every reel, but if you like the content, please like, share, subscribe. You can follow us on YouTube, follow us on X, on Facebook, Instagram.
Anywhere you get your social media.
Yes.
We're probably there.
But we need you to like, share, and subscribe.
Yep.
That makes the content come up more, and then hopefully more people will like it.
That's right.
We have had some good increase in numbers over the past month.
Yeah. And last but not least, I want to thank our sponsors. Comer Distributing, providing this week's tasty beverage.
Fat Tire.
Yep.
Never gets old.
New Belgium Brewery. Yep. And also to Burns.
Burns Automotive.
Yep. Thanks for bringing on the new sponsorship. If you are interested in being a potential sponsor, reach out to us. Love to have you.
Thank y'all.
Well, I woke up to a headline, same lie, dress, new suit on the TV telling me